My mom was the best mom. That's how I describe her to everyone that I meet. Family was really important to her, and she definitely instilled that in me. She was my person. If I needed advice about anything, I could talk to her. I would text her about anything and everything. She was just a constant in my life. We started noticing things with my mom, just little changes, forgetting to pay a bill, a little bit of mood changes, and it certainly progressed. It became more noticeable and more people were starting to notice. So it might have been she would go to run an errand and she would get lost in town, and she would call us and say, "I'm here, I don't know where I am, but I don't think I know how to get back home." Or she would go to the grocery store and come home and completely forget that she had an entire load of groceries in the back of the car. I was just in my mid-20s and my mom was in her mid-50s when I took her to an appointment. I was by myself. It was just me and my mom. And they told me that she had Alzheimer's. It completely felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me. I really thought that was just an old person's disease. I could not believe that someone of her age could have Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's changes people. With my mom, it completely changed her personality. She was so kind and so happy and had the most lovely smile. She never met a stranger. But as the disease progressed, she became angry. She was just generally unhappy. She would cry, and there was nothing that you could do to make her feel better. I don't know what we would have done without Sanders Brown. It is a really special place, and it's right here in Lexington. So we really are lucky to have Sanders Brown right here.
We talk about Alzheimer's disease in Sanders Brown from the point of view of research, from the point of view of the clinic, from the point of view of outreach and education to the community. But this disease really has a personal face. It's devastating because you're essentially losing your soul when you get dementia. And when I see the faces of individuals that we're helping, it really touches my soul and makes me really want to do as much as I can in my research to try to prevent this from happening to anyone else.
So Alzheimer's disease and dementia became personal for me a few years ago when my mother was diagnosed with vascular dementia. And over a period of about 4 or 5 years, I watched her go from being my mother to really seeing nothing behind her eyes. That's something that can cause you to lose hope. I'm very lucky, though, to work in a world-class center. It's the greatest place on the planet to study dementia.
At the pace of the discoveries that we're making here at Sanders Brown, I think we'll be able to have ways to delay the onset. It's been estimated that if you delay the onset of dementia by just 5 years, you would cut the incidence in half. So my hope is that we will come up with that effective intervention. Philanthropic gifts enabled us to obtain a multiphoton microscope.
2-photon imaging lets you do is look into the brain of an intact living animal. It lets you look at nuances of how the brain functions. And again, how it can break down with diseases like Alzheimer's disease. With this new technology, it's given Sanders Brown capabilities it's never had before.
We were able to leverage that gift to then attract more than $35 million in NIH grant money. So that was a huge return on investment.
So the technology we have now has the potential to revolutionize what we know and what we understand about the pathophysiology of Alzheimer's disease. When I come to work every day, I don't see despair, I see hope. I see hope in my lab, I see hope in my colleagues, and I think that when a cure or a treatment for Alzheimer's disease is developed, Sanders Brown's going to be playing a role.
You lose somebody twice when they have Alzheimer's. You lose them pretty much when they lose their personality. She wasn't my mom anymore. And then you lose them when they pass. After my mom had passed, there was just so much silence. And after years of wishing for silence and wishing for her to just be happy, and then you get the silence. And I didn't want the silence. And that was difficult, but at the same time, we got to say goodbye to her so many times. When she passed, it was a mixture of a lot of things that we all felt. You're relieved that they're not suffering. We all said we would have taken care of her for the rest of our lives, just to have her in our lives. My first baby was born just shortly after my mom passed. I like to think that there will one day be a world without Alzheimer's, that it's not even in my children's vocabulary. I know my mom would be so proud that we took our pain and threw it into something that can help so many other people. Please join me and my family in doing this, my mom, honoring my mom's legacy, and supporting Sanders Brown. We know that they can find a cure for this disease. After watching my mom go through it, it just makes me work that much harder to help eradicate this disease.
When we develop a cure for Alzheimer's disease or a successful treatment, I think Sanders Brown Center on Aging is definitely going to be a part of that. So investment in Sanders Brown is investing in a cure.
My hope for the future is that no one will even know what Alzheimer's disease is, because we will have come up with ways to prevent it or delay it so long that it won't be a problem. But Sanders Brown is going to be there. We're going to be leading the charge.